What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls Podcast. Coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck, Big Dave, bow, BWL Sports, Will the Goat Gottlieb, perfectly coiffed, Will_Gottlieb. Pal and producer on the controls, the one and only Katie Duffy. What's up, Katie?
Hey, Katie. Hi, Katie. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
How's it going?
Stressful.
Doing great. Hanging in there.
That means she's doing a great job.
Putting up with our nonsense.
Oh, she's got a lot to put up with.
She's got Sarah Bear with a keen eye, keeping a lookout.
Sarah Bear on the shoulder.
You, Sarah Bear.
That's pretty awesome. Today's
show is a Sunnyside Thursday episode. Visit Sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 and over or Illinois Med card holders. All right, fun stuff to get to today. The Bulls did make a couple of roster moves this morning, perhaps to be expected, but what does it mean for all involved? And also some interesting trade slop going around the NBA Twitterverse this morning, gentlemen. Zack LaVine's name popping up all over the place. A couple of possibly playoff-bound Western Conference teams are still maybe interested in taking that Zack LaVine trade bait. So we'll talk about all of that coming up on today's show.
It's so delightful that people are liking Zach again.
It's great. It's great, man. But first and foremost, we didn't really get
the turntables
a great opportunity to get into this on pregame last night because pregames are a half hour. We had a lot to get to in pregame. Yeah. I want to hear a little bit more about the magnificent Big Dave trip to London.
Oh, okay. Well, sure. First of all, Sarah was there.
Regale us with the tales. Sarah, I cried myself to sleep for a week while you were gone. The least you can do is give us a good story or two.
Oh, I missed you too, man. It was very fun. Again, shout out to Will Gottlieb for always pushing me to take vacations because I never know that I need one until I actually take one because I'm not used to doing it.
The ulterior motive is that it makes me feel better about myself when I take it.
Well, yeah, you should feel
you
great.
Need it, and I'm glad you took it.
You should feel great, sir. I had an amazing time. Probably starting from the first day because usually I get off the plane, I go to bed,
right?
And it didn't work out this way this time.
Wheels touched down and you started running.
Yeah, pretty much. Wheels touched down. Well, no, I had to wait a while because my flat wasn't ready for a couple hours. So I had to wait in the airport a couple hours until it was ready. But shout out to Lila. She's great. She's awesome. But the flat was nice. And then by the time it got ready, I was there. And then when I got there, it was something going on, the CHGO thing. It was something going on.
There was like multiple events every day.
Yeah. So I was like, well,
shout out True Travel.
Let me go to this, to the event. And I went down there. Sarah, maybe what was the name of the tunnel where all the graffiti was? What was the name of the place we were at? Pasadunk or something? It was a Philadelphia-inspired bar.
It's called The Graffiti Tunnel.
Oh, there it is. Yes. It was. Listen, the art was beautiful.
Leek Street Arches.
Leek Street, yes.
That is pretty tough to remember, the graffiti tunnel.
Yes. Dude, and it was amazing.
Chicago.
I got lost down there for like 30, 45 minutes just walking around, looking at the graffiti and taking pictures and just being amazed. But I went into the spot. It was great. And I don't know why people gave me a standing ovation when I got in there. That was awesome. So, yeah, I went and saw the guys. Sarah was working. I tried to say hi to Sarah, but she was like, hey, Dave, I'm working. And I was like, I'm going to hug you anyway. She was like, okay. And then I left her alone. Past Young Avenue. Thank you, Clem. I'm going to get to you next, sir. I'm going to get to him in a minute. So I went there. They were doing the show. It was packed. A lot of Bears fans there. It was really cool to see that. That was awesome. I met a fan of the show while I was there. He tripped when he saw me, dude. He was like, oh, my God. He said he met his wife because of us.
What?
Because of the show.
No
He
way.
said he was in. Yeah, Katie, we like that. He was in the chat during a Bulls Pacers game.
Yeah.
And his wife, he said the young lady was saying something. He started flirting back with her, and they started talking.
No
and
frickin'
they
way.
ended up getting
Wait.
married.
Can
That
you
is
can you like
insane.
DM on YouTube chats? Like, how do you go
No,
from
it was
that
like,
to like
a Facebook chat they were on, but they were like watching us.
oh shit.
Yeah, I didn't know this was a thing, but it's a thing. He was like on a Facebook chat, but they were watching us,
Wow.
and they were talking about the game.
That's so
And
cool.
yeah, it was really awesome. I believe his name was Jared. But yeah, he said he met his wife Stacy. They got married. He loves the show. He loves all of you guys.
That's
love-
Shout out
incredible.
to you.
Loves Matt's anger. Loves my positivity. Loves Will's writing. They're big fans of the show. They said they would watch the show and be like, well, I know. Let's see if Dave has shorts on today. Let's
The
see if he
games
got
are
shorts.
out.
He's got shorts on. Okay, let's check the shoes. Let's
That's
check
insane.
the shoes. And then they said it
That's
became
so
kind of
cool.
a thing. So
Shout out to
Can
Amari
I,
in the comments who said new channel CHGO matchmaker. I was about to say, who needs to pay money for a professional matchmaker? Just tune into CHGO Bulls.
yeah, go ahead. Will.
Can I just, while I'm thinking about this, because I know I'm going to forget, why don't you shout out Marquise, who I saw at the game last night, who said what's up to me. And I'm going to flex for a second because this is the craziest thing that has ever happened. He came up to me while I was standing there talking with Sam Smith, and he wanted to take a picture with me and not Sam Smith.
shit.
And I was like,
Snap.
wow, Sam, I
That's
guess
a
that
flex.
makes me
Snap.
a Hall of Famer. So shout out to you, Marquise. That was
were you
great.
just,
Great to meet you.
standing like on the court during warmups? Or
I was just in it was like at halftime. I'd gone to like fill up my water or something during the halftime break, and I was just standing in the tunnel, waiting to come back up, just in the entryway to where we're sitting. So he came up and said, "What's up?" Got a picture with him. So that was a very cool moment. Thank
That's
you
very
for
cool.
saying what's up, Marquise.
Look at
Right,
that.
Look at the GOAT doing stuff, man.
Goat.
That's who he is, just worldwide.
Getting spotted while chatting with Sam Smith.
It was like, hey, sir, could you take a picture of me and will not leave? That's awesome, man. But yeah, it was great to meet them. They were amazing. So we went from there. They had a cruise. We had a cruise. We went on.
Oh yeah, the booze cruise on the River Thames.
Yeah,
that looked real fun.
That was fun.
I think that was the peak of my FOMO.
Yeah. Seeing the Jaguars owner's yacht on the water right next to us when passing by. I mean, it looked like where a supervillain is deciding to kill Superman.
I think
crazy.
RG posted a picture of it.
Yeah.
That's a big old
No,
boat.
bro, he's got like 2 fireplaces.
Dude, I kept seeing RG's
crazy.
pictures, and I was like, man, this dude gets to go on all these trips
Yeah.
and just document them. What
Yeah.
a
cool
just
life.
cool dude. And
Yeah,
cool
bro.
life.
Clearly, you should have been a photographer instead
I
of a
know.
beat writer, Will.
Just so cool.
Dude, oh yeah, it was fun. We had a whole bunch of fun. Then we went there. Then we ended up back at the hotel where they were staying and having more fun there. And then I left and went to a spot with some people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how I met them, but I left and went to a spot with them, and we kicked it. And that's what Kevin K-Dub was there too. And we all hung out and shut the place down. And then everybody left, and then I met some more people while I was standing outside.
Is that when you met Friedel?
No, that was that night. Yeah,
That
I
was
did
that
meet him
night?
that night. Yes, I met him in the hotel.
Bulls fans' favorite, Nick Friedel.
Yeah, I met Nick Friedel. We had a great conversation.
Nick Friedel is
man.
truly one of the nicest
I-
people.
also,
that's ever
we had a
walked
great
the face of
convo,
the
man.
earth.
Very nice guy.
And
Love Nick.
And he likes the show. He
Oh, yeah?
likes what we're doing. And
Thanks, Nick.
he had really awesome ththings to say about what we're doing here, which was crazy to hear. That the fact that he's
the
watching.
man.
Put a pin in that, by the way. So I believe I can't remember no, not the next night, because I didn't hang out with them next night. I like I said, I met a bunch of people. So I started getting my own kind of tour of London.
Flex.
And that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. I did a lot of things. It was a lot of fun. You keep asking me this. The pizza was outstanding. I must say that. The pizza was outstanding in London. I was pretty shocked by just how good it was, but it was outstanding. But man, so what night was it? Oh, the day of the Bears game.
Mm-hmm.
We, take the shuttle there and everything. And Sarah, shout out Mama Sarah, always making sure everybody had everything they needed and where they needed to be. She is amazing. Shout out to Josh, her boyfriend. They are like the perfect couple. Watch them together. All right, just watch Sarah and Josh together. You're gonna be like, this is a couple. You're gonna be like, dude, this is a couple. All right, they are awesome together. They play off each other really awesomely. But yeah, just meeting a bunch of fans, met a bunch of cool fans, and got to hang out with them and talk with them. And at the game, just the game was amazing. And then, like I told you, my brother and his wife came, and they showed up.
Shout out to bro.
And I was kicking it so much, I hadn't even seen him like for days. Oh, dang, I forgot something. Back up. The day before the game, I met up with Tim Sinclair. And we went and had some tea in the morning. And he told me about some event he was doing. And it was at a Bears bar where it was just super crowded. Dude, a line around the corner. It was packed in this place. Dog. And I was like, yo, Tim, I'm here. And Tim like, oh, he sent somebody out. Yo, there you go get it. And he came and got me. That was the start of an awesome night because all eyes became on me. That was the start of a really awesome night.
Classic Big Dave cutting lines to get into places.
Shout out Tim Sinclair. You looked out for your boy on this one, man. But that was the first time seeing my brother. I hadn't seen him for like 3 days since I've been there, bro.
Yeah.
So we hung out with him, went to a spot called Lane 8 also. Ate some of their chicken wings, man.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was like,
like actual chicken?
Actual
Not
chicken.
like magic mystery chicken, not chicken?
I will say their vegan options are outstanding in London. Outstanding.
It's an oxymoron.
Oh, it was outstanding, man. Their food I was really proud of. But so yeah, we hung out with Tim. I hung out with Tim and it was great. Spice Adams was there.
Spice.
Tillman, got to meet him. That was cool. Ryan Baker, shout out to Ryan Baker. Met him also. Jerry Azuma, he was there also, man. Like, it was a lot of former, like, Bears players that were there having a great time. Israel Adonijah, like it was cool. So that was fun. And so then the day of the game, we leave. I went to this other bar called, I don't remember. So I'm there hanging out. It was me. It was my brother, Brandon Spano, Lindsay, shout out to them. And Ryan's girlfriend was there. And then I ran this guy, and I was like, I can't remember his name. I think it was Adam. Please forgive me if I'm forgetting it. But he was like, where you about to go? And he was like, oh, I'm about to go hang out. Nick Friedel hit me up. I'm about to go hang out with Spot. And I was like, oh, I'm going to roll with you. He was like, cool. So we go in there. I roll with him. Niggas at the bar. We hanging out. And then they were like, yo, you want to go to dinner? And I was like, yeah, sure. So we all ended up in Soho at Nobu.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We had dinner with Nick Friedel at Nobu.
What a flex.
And we talked for hours. Like,
Big Dave's brag hour.
It was just really, really
so
cool.
Many flexes.
It was really, really cool. Had a great time. And then I think I called Sarah after that and asked her where everybody was at. And she said they were at the hotel. And I went over there, hung out with them for the rest of the night. And that was, I think it was like till like 4 a.m. or something crazy. And then got up and then I hung out with my man Clem, French Bulls TV.
Shout out Clem.
Got up with him, man. That was really cool. We hung out at Clubhouse 5. That's why I had some fish and chips for the first time. It was great. And then when he left, another fan of the show, his name is Adam. He hit me up and he heard I was here. He wanted to, come hang out. He wanted to meet. I was like, come on through for sure. He loves the show, man. He's like, I'll listen to it all the time. He was like, when I'm working out, he was like, you guys just really inspired me. I want to start my own thing because, listening to you all.
Go do it, man.
Do it.
Like, he really enjoys the show a lot. So shout out to Adam, man. And shout out to your lady, too, as well. And it was just a lot of fun. And, yeah. I'm back.
Giggity's Will had a great flex, and Big Dave just comes in.
I know. I tried to get in there a little bit, and Dave was just like, "No."
I'm just telling you what happened.
Can confirm from the other source. I was chatting with Sarah Bear just like a little earlier before our show and asking her, how's the recovery from the jet lag and how was the London trip, which was great. She was like, yeah, man, this is one night. I was out partying with Dave like really late, and I was like, I'm exhausted, but Big Dave's out partying, so I can't not party. And I was like, welcome to, the last 6 years of my life, Sarah. When I managed to get Big Dave out to come hang out with me, and then it's like, oh, we're doing this. You need to prepare for what we're doing this fully means. Because once you get Big Dave out, you're like, I can't let him go home. I can't let him go. I can't let him crash. So I have to mentally prepare for the fact that it's going to be a night.
If you want to hang out, make sure we are going to hang out.
This is true.
We had fun. We had a lot of fun hanging out with Sarah and everybody else, man. But
glad to hear it,
love
man.
you, London. Very nice,
and
man.
The latest example of the CHGO community growing into wonderfully cool places, not just in Chicago, but all over the world. Bears fans took over that city.
Dude, Greg Braggs is a superstar.
Man.
Superstar.
The silliest of superstars.
My God, man.
All right. There's the London recap. We'll take a quick break, come back, dive into these Bulls roster transactions that happened earlier today.
Is it time? Yes, it is. Ray Chevy, ladies and gentlemen. It is back. It is official, and he is the man. Shout out to him because he was also in London, and yeah, shout out to my man Ray Chevy.
Good for Ray.
You got to say what's up to my man Ray, dog, because guess what, y'all? We are heading into Cartober. Cartober Fest is going on Ray Chevrolet. It is on the way. Head in today and stop in for their huge selection of new Chevy models at low prices, because right now you can take $3,000 up to $12,000 off MSRP on most new Chevy models, or cruise through fall your own way and shop over 125 of their vehicles priced under $20,000. As one of the top selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories. Visit our partner at their location, Route 12 in Fox Lake, or at raychevrolet.com. And if you've heard of Ray Chevrolet, well, guess what? You've heard of Ray's Price Promise. It's their guarantee to make their next vehicle more affordable than ever, with no price changing, no add-ons, and no hidden fees ever. That means the incredible prices that we're talking about right now, you can expect to hear the very same prices when you shop at Ray Chevy in-store or online. So make sure you shop our Cartoberfest all month long by visiting Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Empire Today. Goon of the night last night, Lonzo Ball. Shout out.
Amazing.
With Empire, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they have copycats amongst their competitors, but Empire can't be beaten on quality, on service, or on speed. So all competitors can try to do is advertise basement prices on low quality products that Empire simply doesn't even bother to carry in their inventory. They're crap floors that they wouldn't put in their own home, so they're not going to tell you to put them in yours. You got to also check out their virtual floor designer, a great way to see how new floors will look in any space in your home, so you can see how it looks with your lighting, with your decor. It's really easy to use. Just snap a picture and instantly see how those new floors will look in your spaces. They also pride themselves on convenient shop-at-home service. They help customers shop floors for where they use their floors so they can see what it looks like. They also service their own warranties. If an issue does arise, just call Empire. They will service all warranties themselves. No tracking down third-party or manufacturer's phone numbers. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 discount when they use promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details. 588-2300. Katie!
Empire.
Oh.
Today?
You can't put me on the spot.
I
That's not
sure
fair.
as
That's not
hell
fair.
We absolutely
That's not
can.
fair.
It's part of the
It's
job.
what we do here.
I am not Stacey King over here with, the nationwide read.
Hey,
That's not going to happen.
You got some vocals.
It's not like Stacey's winning Grammys stacked up on his trophy case.
He's a Renaissance man. You don't know. He could win a Grammy.
What's stopping you from being a Renaissance woman?
Ooh.
Just
Oh, got on that one, man. Got on that one.
Don't we have some transitions?
Oh, welcome to the show, Katie. Welcome to
I
the
think
show.
somebody got waived or something.
Somebody got waved.
Yes, that's right, Katie W. 2 people got waived, in fact. You know why they got waived? Because they refused to sing a flooring jingle that is a Chicago staple.
Empire.
Especially with the young guys, they make the guys do karaoke in training camp, film room, whatever. You see Bears guys doing that in the Bears Hard Knocks.
Oh, yeah.
It's part of the job.
Part of the job. She'll be asked to sing again. Don't worry. And not just the Empire song. Oh, wait till the game. Oh, it's on the way. Oh, Katie, we love you so.
Evil plotter over here.
We love you so.
Yes, that is correct. If you want to throw up that official announcement, Katie, in case you missed it, the Bulls made a couple of roster moves, waiving Onuralp Bitim, who is no longer him, and Kenny Lofton Jr. So Bitim was on a partially guaranteed contract that he signed midway through last season when the Bulls were, dropping like flies and needed, somebody to come in. The partial guarantee element of his contract, there was essentially a deadline staring him and the Bulls in the face, which was opening night this coming Wednesday. So they waived Bitim, who got some minutes in these first 4 preseason games, but not a ton. Also, shout out to Jen Zebo, trademark GOAT. Really fun to see him get a shot in Bulls training camp. You hope he gets another opportunity somewhere else, along with Bitim. But, gentlemen, these 2 moves, I think, we've talked about them after a couple, if not all of our preseason games so far. Certainly seems like it's clearing a very direct path to Talen Horton-Tucker taking that 15th roster spot.
Yeah. Taylor came and took it. Like, let's just be real about it. He just came and he snatched it. Now, but Tim was in a harder, tougher position because he was coming back off an injury. You know what I'm saying? On
I
the team,
forgot about the eyeball thing.
Right, exactly. Weird. He said he had the way he had to sleep to make sure everything was okay. Like, he went through a lot, you know what I'm saying, after that surgery and that injury for him. So I shout out to him just for making it back to do those kind of things, man. It's just not easy. And in the game that he played, he tried. You saw him getting out there, having some flashes and things like that, trying to do a little bit more while he was on the floor, taking matters into his own hands a couple of times, you know what I mean? So he tried to get fly on him, but, just didn't work out for him. I appreciate the Bitim moments he had when he was here last year. I do definitely remember that day. That was very, very fun. Mm-hmm. So shout out to him for that.
It was even more fun when we all thought his last name was Bitim.
Oh, yeah, it was more fun with Bitim. Bitim the dream it was right there. But yeah, man, I'm interested to see if he gets picked up or gets another opportunity with another team in the G League. Kenny Lofton Jr., I wanted to stay for one because I just wanted to hear Jen Zebo be said by Adam Levine and Stacey King. And for 2, I love a big fella's up in here on the team. How am I going to be against that? And I think he's skilled on top of that. He
knocked down a 3-pointer in one of those preseason games.
Dude, he can play. He can play the game. So I hope he finds his way too. But yeah, well, it just feel like THT just came in and was like, yeah, this belongs to me now, guys.
Yeah, and I think he's the best player of the bunch. Yeah, and I don't know that he's necessarily like the perfect fit with what the Bulls are trying to do and where they're heading, but he's 23. He's obviously the most talented scorer of that group. And I think you can already tell that Billy trusts him enough to put him into, some of these lineups with some of the other younger players to help them come along. So obviously not official yet, but I think he's won that job. To just kind of circle back to what you were saying, Matt, about just like the cap mechanics of it. Bitim was non-guaranteed up till the start of the season. If they had picked up that partial guarantee, then there would have been another partial guarantee for the remainder of his contract, which started, I believe, January 10th.
January something, yeah.
So this basically wipes him off the books scot-free. Yeah. So now they've got an open roster spot. They've got one more two-way spot, and they're about $6.5 million below the luxury tax, so enough room to bring in another guy. My guess is that they do this on another partial guarantee where they're paying him up until January or the trade deadline, and then if they decide to, they can waive him. Or maybe they just keep him long term. Again, 23 years old, and as much as it feels like he's been in the league for 5 or 7 years already, he's still a very young player. So, I think it makes sense. I don't, like I said, I don't think that he's necessarily like the point guard of the future, but I don't think they're asking him to be. And so I think it's a good fit for what they want.
So you just said it. The Bulls are currently $6.5 million under the luxury tax line.
I believe so. Let me pull up my.
So and that's what I'm curious about. If in fact THT does just say, "Hey, this last roster spot is mine," then I was curious about what kind of contract they would sign him to. You just said your first guess would be another partial guarantee contract of some kind. But if the Bulls have that much leeway between where they are and where the luxury tax line is, I mean, would you see it as something beneficial to them to keep THT on a fairly small contract, something, equivalent to a vet minimum of some kind or whatever, and then still allow themselves, I don't know, a $5 million window or so if they wanted to make some, which we'll talk about in a second, in-season trades and have a little wiggle room leading up to that luxury tax line?
So, yeah, I just pulled it up. I have them at 6.625 below the tax. So they've got a little bit of room. They do have those trade exceptions from DeMar and Caruso. So that could be something that they use. $2.8 million trade exception for Caruso and $17.5 million for DeRozan. Obviously, if you use all of that, you're going into the first apron, and that's not something the Bulls are going to do.
Nope.
But, I think flexibility is the key here. And so to me, it's like it's veteran minimum type contracts for that 15th spot. And either you incorporate him into a deal or, if you package some other guys, maybe he moves up the chain a little bit, and you can play him a little bit more if you want. But I think flexibility and keeping enough space between themselves and the cap is very smart here. And honestly, even just having that roster spot open might be a smart thing to do, because if we are going to talk about trading Zack LaVine or Nikola Vucevic or Lonzo Ball or any of these guys, what you want is flexibility to be able to take more money back than you send out. Yeah. Because now you're talking about being able to potentially get a draft pick in exchange, or but being able to take back more money in a Zack LaVine trade might help another team say, okay, yeah, this is actually helping us now. It's not just that we're overburdened with this contract. So flexibility is key. And I don't think anything will be super long-term for anybody that they sign here. But yeah, I mean, 15th man, minimum roster spot, maybe a partial guarantee, maybe a fully guaranteed thing for short-term deals. I think that's kind of the most I would expect with this.
That's so interesting about THT, because even though he's coming in and he would be that 14th or 15th guy, it doesn't seem like he's going to be playing like that 14th or 15th guy, right?
I mean, maybe not. That, like, we still, because in these preseason games, we've seen most of the vets take a night off, and then the young guys got a lot of run. Last night, the vets came back and played heavy minutes, like well into the third quarter, when some of the younger guys who are part of the, quote unquote youth movement all sat with various nagging injuries. Io sat, Julian sat, Dalen sat, Modest sat. So when you talk about a guy who may or may not be your 15th on the roster, so to speak, and whether or not he will be ahead of 15th in Billy's rotation, look, THT's shown great stuff in these preseason games. Is he a integral part of the puzzle to a point where you're going to prioritize getting him minutes over some of those other guys? I mean, he's a young guy himself. What is he, like 23?
23.
Been in the league a few years. So he does fit that mold that AK seems to be obsessed with the times he's talked to the media so far since, the Caruso trade and then DeMar leaving, which is like, we like young guys that have experience.
Yeah.
THT is that kind of player.
Definitely.
But is getting him minutes and getting him buckets in the attempts of winning basketball games more important than playing Modest Buzelis minutes? Because this Bulls fan's opinion is hell no.
No, I don't know if it's whose expense is going to come at. I don't think it's going to come at the expense of Modest's minutes.
But, they play different positions.
Correct. But you got to put the best player out there on the floor to play. Even regardless of what you're doing, if you're a bad team or whatever you're doing, you got to put your best foot forward. And THC allows you to kind of do that on certain nights. So I think he'll play. He'll get out there, have those opportunities. I'm more looking at guys like Dalen Terry, you know what I mean, and what's going to happen to him and his kind of minutes. Will they go down? Guys like Javon Carter, what will happen to his minutes in this kind of situation?
What minutes?
So I'm interested in seeing that. I'm interested in seeing that, man.
I mean, but think about it in terms of the rotation that Billy's probably going to play.
Yeah.
I think 10-man rotation is probably the most he would go with.
Sure.
You have your starters, Kobe, Giddey, Zach, Pat, Booch. You have your backups, Io, Jalen Smith, and then there's a couple of question marks.
Correct.
You obviously want to get minutes for Modest. Julian Phillips has shown a ton of strides this preseason. That's 9 already. And now you're talking about...
You also haven't said Dalen or Lonzo Ball.
Or Torrey Craig.
Lonzo Ball, Torrey Craig, Javon Carter. Now Talen Horton-Tucker is in this mix. Chris Duarte, I think.
Chris Duarte,
he plays a position of need on this team, a wing shooter who can defend. Like, that's something that this team could really go with. And so, obviously, Lonzo's not going to be playing back-to-backs, but they only got 14 of those this year. So, I don't know. I think, Talen is clearly the most talented player, but he's not offering you something that you don't already have. Right. You have a lot of scoring. You have a lot of creation. What you need is the right complementary pieces, and then you need more upside. I think he's got some upside, but he's also like the kind of player who has now been on a handful of other teams and been shuttled around the league a little bit and hasn't really carved out the role that I think people assumed he would when he signed that $10 million a year contract with the Lakers. So I think that speaks to how the league views him. And so you don't want to get too caught up in, get too high on your own supply or whatever and like get too excited about this guy when he's not of value around the rest of the league.
Real quick before we head to break, a couple of people in the comments talking about that last two-way spot. Rob was talking about it. French Bulls TV was talking about it. Liddell, the most likely candidate to take that last two-way spot, you think, Goat?
It seems like it. He's the only one left of the Exhibit 10 contracts, and I think he is a guy, for example, that does really fit. Bigger wing, can guard, can shoot, can switch. Like, that's the kind of guy I think they should be going for.
Okay.
All right, we'll take a quick break there, then come back and dive into the latest Zack LaVine trade rumors going around the NBA on CHGO Bulls. Speaking of getting high on your own supply,
Talk about
you can
it.
go get your supply and great deals for said supplies at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary.
Slap.
Our friends at Sunnyside are here to elevate your fall, Chicago. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. They have a crazy selection, over 100 different strains to choose from, with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you and near you. They have spots as far south as Champaign, shout out Illini, and as far north as South Beloit. Careful, don't cross that border into Wisconsin. Nobody likes Wisconsin. Stop in the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff to help you make your selections and select from quality lines like Cresco and Florical. Also, available now, a Good News brand limited time offer. Check out the Island Vibes, available in disposable vapes, 510 cards, and live resin gummies. Good News Island Vibes for next level staycations. Good News Island Vibes, destination relaxation.
That too.
Good News Island Vibes, Puff Puff Paradise.
Oh,
Take your pick, y'all.
come on.
I'm picking up that and some of my other reliable favorites at my nearest Sunnyside dispensary. You can too by visiting sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first, not one, not two, but 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 and over, and Illinois Med card holders. And you're lucky, Katie, because they don't have a jingle that I'm aware of. They need one.
But I tell you who do. Katie, I got a question for you.
What's your question?
What time is it?
Game time.
Hoop. She ain't hit the hoop, but she got the game time, so we'll allow it.
I was there for the hoot.
All right, you're there for the hoop. We'll allow it. I'll allow it, man. I'll allow it. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events easier than ever. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff. Get out of here, fluff, to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. They don't roll like that. Game Time Picks, y'all. Curation that makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater events, etc. All-in pricing. Toggling this feature right here shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkouts. Matt and I favorite the seat views with big news. We need to find out where we sitting. Can I stretch my legs or not? Is the person behind me going to be upset? Where is the people coming with the food? All this needs to be known. That's why we want to know the seat views, y'all. And the lowest price guarantee. And Game Time will give you 110% of the difference if they can't get that low price guarantee, ladies and gentlemen. That is a beautiful thing. Go ahead and take that guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code CHGO. Get yourself $20 off your first purchase.
Terms apply.
That's CHGO. Get yourself $20 off your first purchase.
Terms apply.
Download Game Time today. Oh, because Matt Pat. What time is it? Game Time. Hoot. The hoot. It's all about the hoot.
Man.
No treble.
I got to do that with Purdue for the first time on Monday. Like, I got to ask
shit.
Will Purdue,
Oh.
what time is it? And he hit me with a game time, and I was like, well, 7-year-old Matt's brain just exploded.
Actually, Will Purdue.
I asked him, I was like, did you ever want to be like, did you want to have Cliff's job where you get to be the one asking what time is it? And he was like, no, like Cliff was so good at it. We just let him do it.
Just very comfortable. Yeah, yeah. That sounds like Will. Just being low key.
It does.
You know what I mean?
I was like, oh, I would have fought for that job.
I will fight you, Cliff Livingston.
I want to say it.
I want to do it. 7-year-old Matt, what's in there, buddy?
I mean, like, I was, Bulls fans who grew up in the 90s, like, wasn't that every one of our dreams, like, to get to be in that huddle?
Yes.
Before they run out of the tunnle?
Oh, here's your other Bulls fan trivia after Cliff Livingston. Who was it?
Randy Brown.
Boom. In your face.
Still cashing checks from Jerry.
In your face. Oh, God.
All right, guys, let's dive into the latest Zack LaVine trade carousel stuff. Let's start with what I think, and I'm guessing you would agree, Goat, is the lesser likely of the two new ones we got, and that would be the Sacramento Kings, where Zach's former Bulls teammate, DeMar DeRozan, ended up. This is Matt Issa of Forbes and Sportscasting, among other sports media outlets, and it was a write-up that went along with this tweet of his. that you can find on Sportscasting website and give it a read. But this is where it started. It started with the Doug McDermott signing, and then people be like, oh, okay, Dougie McBucket's found a home in Sacramento. That's cool. And then Issa tweeted, Zack LaVine, Brandon Ingram, those are the next goals, or either of them is the next goal for this Kings team that might not necessarily be done constructing their roster for the 24-25 season. He did mention in the write-up that it would be tricky from a financial standpoint, Goat, just because whether it's LaVine or Ingram, LaVine's at $43 million this season, Ingram a little bit less, I think like high 30s. And you're talking about including multiple players to match those salaries. He suggested Kevin Huerter, a name Bulls fans have heard plenty of times when talking about hypothetical LaVine trades between the Bulls and the Kings. Trey Lyles, who would add another $8 million to that. And he said maybe Keegan Murray, who's at nearly $9 million this season, but I think most people would agree they're not trying to let Keegan Murray out the door just to complete a trade for Zack LaVine.
Well, what was interesting about it is that the reason that this started to come up in the first place was that they waived, the Kings waived Jalen McDaniels, who they got in the trade for Sasha Vezenkov and Davion Mitchell right before the draft to clear up space, right? So they attached a second-round pick to get off those guys. They get Jalen McDaniels back. That clears up space for them to go out and do the DeRozan deal. But now they waive him, and it's like, okay, maybe they're doing another move. But then they come in and sign McDermott. And so that kind of like, put the kibosh on that concept of them having another big swing. So then Matt comes out and says this, and that's where I think it does get really interesting. From a basketball standpoint, I'm not really sure Ingram fits there at all. I mean, you already have DeRozan. I think of Ingram as kind of like a very similar style of player as DeRozan. And then obviously this team is already so offensively oriented. Like, do you need another shot creator, primary scorer type, or even a secondary guy like Zach, who's very offensively oriented? Probably not. And so from a basketball standpoint, I don't think it makes a ton of sense. But then, okay, you're going to go for it. How do you even get there? And I think the money part of it is just where that kind of falls short. It's like you're going to have to attach Huerter and either Monk or Keegan Murray. And I just don't see that being worth it for them at this point. Like, you deplete your depth. You get better. I think Ingram and LaVine are obviously better players than even Monk, who's fantastic. But I just don't know, like, at a certain point, you get diminishing returns with how much offensive star power you have on your roster. And you've already got Fox, you've already got DeRozan, you've already got Sabonis. Like, I think Zach coexists there better than Ingram, because he plays a little bit more like a Monk or a Huerter, a little bit more off ball, a little bit more, of a shooter. So I think it like could make some sense, but I just don't know. Like, if I'm constructing the Sacramento Kings, that's not the move I'm trying to make.
Yeah. At first, like, we've been trying to get Keegan Murray for a while. So even when this talk was coming up and having discussions with Kings fans, and I would always say, well, give me Keegan Murray, the answer was always flatly, hell no.
Absolutely not.
There's no way we're giving up Keegan Murray. He is beloved there. So I don't think that's happening. Also, when it's happened, I hit up Matt George.
Our old pal from Locked On Kings.
Shout out to him. And he said he had heard nothing about this, and there was really nothing going on and no traction about anything. So it was news to him, basically, hearing something like this. So, I mean, cool, because I think we're just so hungry for that trade, you know what I mean, for Zack LaVine. So when we hear these, stories, and then we're like, oh, morsels.
Yeah.
like we're eating them up, and it's all really great to hear. And that's cool. We love a morsel. We love a morsel around here. But it's like you were saying, like, what that team is lacking is some defenders. They need some defense, and they went out and signed Doug McDermott. Not a defender. It's not what he does. They score. They scored a bucket, but they're going to have to stop somebody. Not saying Zach can't play defense, but that's not your first thought when you're thinking of Zack LaVine. And Brandon Ingram, as you're saying, I don't see that fit there. He'll be simply in the way of a guy like DeMar DeRozan, man. So I don't see it working. I mean, if it happens, cool, whatever, but I just don't see it happening because I don't see it working for the Kings.
And I don't want to discredit the report because, like, that's not – I'm not saying that what he heard wasn't right. I'm sure it was, and I'm sure the Kings do have aspirations to continue to improve their roster. And, like, clearly they've picked a lane, and that lane is we're going to overpower you offensively. Right. We're not going to worry as much about the defensive end. But I think just from, like, a mechanical standpoint, it's very difficult to pull that off. But I will say this, like, Zach played great in the preseason game last night. He obviously had 28 points the other night. in the game against the Grizzlies. He's been fantastic. He
Yes.
looks like Zack LaVine out there,
Yeah.
and it is delicious
Oh,
how
man.
much the change in narrative has been just after a couple of preseason games.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Like people, and what's crazy is like people were talking about like, oh, maybe his knees just cooked. It's like, dude, he had a foot surgery.
Yeah.
You're not even watching. You don't have any idea what's going on here.
Get him.
And so like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Zach looks great. And I think it's always been crazy to me that not one team was willing to try to buy low
Yeah.
on basically a free all. I mean, the Bulls would have given him away to get off that money.
Yeah.
And like now he's getting to a point where it's like looking closer and closer to like, could the Bulls get positive value back? I don't know. Maybe
Pretty
it's
please.
like, I was
Well,
listening to,
whatever the buy low offers were that the Bulls got, if any, clearly they all were deemed by the front office to be too insultingly low, or else he wouldn't still be here.
and they probably had offers to attach a pick to get off of him, but like
Right.
they weren't going to do that. So that's the right approach from them to not be willing to like act so like quickly and with such short-term focus
Mhm.
that you're giving up picks as you're entering a rebuild in order to get off of him. That never made sense.
Yeah.
So good thing they didn't do that, because now it's looking like he is, you know, and who knows if it's actually positive value. I was listening to Hollinger and Duncan today. They were talking about Zack LaVine and how they think that ends. Hollinger was saying like, it's probably where the Bulls are going to take back some other bad salary, but get a pick to do so.
Okay.
Like another contract that's like in the 30s or 40s for a couple more years, where the player isn't as good as Zach. And so it looks like the Bulls are getting a pick back, but really they're getting a bad salary and a pick to move off of Zach. But if he keeps playing like this, like I think teams will very quickly, and you see today, Kawhi gets hurt and he's not going to start the season.
Yeah.
And the Clippers are going into a new stadium and they've already lost Paul George. Like,
Yes.
Hold that thought for a
could they
second.
be another team that needs to get some star power and excitement in the door? And is Zack LaVine one of the only available guys?
And I think what's interesting about Zach is he's shown that it's not going to take a lot for teams to start going crazy. Like, he's not going to have to play deep into a few months in the season before teams start saying, maybe we should look at Zack LaVine. This lets me know they were already looking at Zack LaVine. They just wanted to see if he was going to be okay and what he was going to look like. So if the preseason is bringing this for him, he continues this in the regular season, the talk is just going to get louder.
Teams with certain goals and feeling like they have to meet those goals this season, or are feeling pressure to do everything they can to attempt to meet those goals, might suddenly be a lot more interested in picking up the phone and calling AK.
Absolutely.
People
Teams were literally saying his knee is cooked. Like,
it's just, people not paying attention to what's
he had a
going
fracture-
on.
He had a fracture in his foot.
Eco being saying Zach looks much better as a playmaker and defender in preseason. Optimistic Bulls fans saying the price is going up for Zach. The league's stupid. Osis Jr. meanwhile just saying delicious in reference to Goat's description of what it's been like to
It
see
was
Zach
after morsels.
playing these games.
Delicious.
I had food in mind.
Yeah, I understand.
UK Chicago. Hey, you said what up, Jimmy? Saying it's nice to see Zach not only playing well but smiling so much. Never seen him so happy, and that's awesome.
Shout out Lonzo.
I also did love the locker room video that the Bulls posted of
man.
not only Kobe but then Zach talking about what seeing Lonzo go through this whole process and then coming out the other side of it meant to them, and like that was great to see.
It was.
Like some people could say Zach and lip service and whatever. I genuinely liked and appreciated what he said in his opening statement on Media Day. I thought it was from the heart. I thought it was honest. And then to see him in that locker room being a part of that moment, like I think we all still kind of believe that Zach would like a fresh start, especially if the Bulls are pivoting to this younger generation of players. And it's fair for him to want that fresh start. His front office bosses just haven't found a way to get that done yet.
Right.
But in the meantime, I don't think Bulls fans can call BS when he says, I'm still here and I'm still bought in, when you see something like that video from the locker room last night.
Oh, that's letting you know the love is real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Lonzo, honestly, I think has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
But Zach has just been awesome the entire time.
And I think the other thing is like, it's very easy to forget, especially when you're talking about like a rebuild or the way that the team now has to pivot to like think about these guys as contracts or like what their value is. Think about them as like products, but they are people. And I think obviously the Lonzo thing, like how could you not have emotions with that for
even
his
those of us
teammates?
whose hearts are made of stone.
Dude.
Merc with a YouTube in the comments said Clippers or Lakers should be in on Zach. You just tossed out the news about Kawhi's injury there, and obviously we were already talking about that with the departure of Paul George and like, do they need a complimentary star? But maybe we'll circle back to the Clippers if we have time. But that other LA team, the Lakers, is the other team that we got some reporting on the other day. This got aggregated by NBA Central. It came originally from another old Locked On Network friend of ours, Anthony Irwin, who used to be the Locked On Lakers podcast host for many a years. He was like one of the ground floor people at Locked On. He is currently the Lakers insider for Clutch Points, and he had a write-up on Rob Pelinka still having work to do to help his new coach, JJ Redick, and this Lakers backcourt that is missing a quality player, a player of perhaps Zack LaVine's caliber. So there you see the aggregation from NBA Central. Thank you, Katie. In terms of the names the Lakers might be after whenever Pelinka does finally address the holes in his roster. Man, I love that not-so-veiled shot. League sources continue to point to Kuzma in Washington, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith in Brooklyn, Walker Kessler of Utah, Bruce Brown of Toronto, and others. One name league sources say to keep an eye on is Zack LaVine, who played well in his return from surgery last year. End quote. Did he really? Doesn't matter to me. Not the point.
Let him cook.
He also had a quick little follow-up on that, saying Chicago and Lakers held trade talks last season and briefly over this past summer. Sources say those talks will almost assuredly pick back up this year with LaVine looking healthy again.
And that's what we've been saying all along. Like, they're all the allegations against Zach were he's injury prone. He's a losing player. He doesn't play defense.
Come on, GOAT.
Like, and he just wasn't out there.
He doesn't have any good crock pot recipes.
He just wasn't out there to be able to disprove any of that. And now he's out there, and all of a sudden, all that stuff's going by the wayside, just as we predicted.
Yeah, it's out of here, man. And Zach to the Lakers is, and Clem and Adam can tell you this because when we were talking Bulls, this is what I was discussing and telling. I thought he would end up with the Lakers. I just always feel like the Lakers are lurking. And they like names and splashes more than anything. So Cam Johnson's nice. Bruce Brown is nice. Those are nice players. But Zack LaVine is the name. You know what I mean? And if you can pull a name into that Western Conference where it's the Western Conference, and you're going to need some help. You know what I mean? Like, we see LeBron's in year 48. And Anthony Davis, we never know if he's going to be healthy or not. We're always just happy when he is. But getting a third guy, and a sure third guy, like a Zack LaVine on your team, changes fortunes and thoughts in L.A. for the Lakers. It really does, man. And that's just the team I feel like might be destined to end up with.
You're talking about the twilight seasons of LeBron's career.
Yes.
I think he said, like, recently, maybe it was Media Day, about, like, how much longer he wants to play. Okay, well, so this season he's getting that last thing he really wanted, playing with Bronny Jr., who the team spent a second-round draft pick on. I mean, if that was enough to keep LeBron happy to stick around and finish his career with the Lakers, then I guess that's not a waste of a draft pick. But
did he sign an extension? What do you have, 2 years left?
He signed like a multi-year. Are you talking about LeBron or Bronny?
LeBron.
Oh,
he has 2 years left.
Yeah, 2 years left. Yeah.
I mean, and you're the Lakers. You just watched
the Lakers,
the Celtics.
Yes,
your century-long rivalry essentially. Finally get that elusive 18th chip they were after, and you're trying to respond in the twilight seasons of LeBron's career. LeBron can still be a dominant player on the NBA court. He has a sometimes hurt, but when he's not hurt, very dominant riding partner and co-star in Anthony Davis. But we have clearly figured out at this point in the NBA, the league has become so freaking competitive that 2 stars ain't good enough.
No.
You need 2 stars and a pretty damn near perfectly constructed roster around them.
Yes.
And the Lakers have not really had that. They got the one chip in the bubble, asterisk, in the 1920 season, and they had great role players on that team.
Yeah.
Shout out Alex Caruso.
Shout out
that
Talen
has not
Horton-Tucker.
been the case for the last couple of years when the Lakers say, hey, we made the playoffs, and then get bounced.
Hooray.
What are you trying to copy the Bulls?
Yeah.
You're the Lakers.
You're the Lakers. Yeah. You're supposed to be
Bulls
that team.
have had a tendency to be okay with those results over decades.
Exactly.
The Lakers have never been okay with those results.
Never, and never will. And they're not okay with it, and I don't think LeBron has ever been okay with that.
Bingo.
So why would they start now? So again, he fits everything and checks every box for a player that the Lakers would covet and go after. Those other guys, I feel like you go after when you've got those 3 players together already. Cam Johnson, oh yeah, you fit in. But if he comes in this situation, you're demanding more from him. Not asking, you're demanding more from him, man. And that's a whole different monster right there. So, yeah, I think Zach he fits perfectly. hopefully we'll see if they get it done. We'll see.
I just think now, like, you're at a point where, again, you don't, like, beggars can't be choosers. The Bulls still do want to move on from Zach. Again, not like throw this guy to the curb kind of thing, but like it's just this is the reality of their situation now. They're moving into a different direction. Now, though, if he's playing well, like, you have to be thinking about like the type of package you're getting back. It's not like you're going to get a ton of draft picks, but you don't want to be putting yourself in a position where you have a ton of long-term money on your books that's like clogging up stuff to be able to do things down the line. It'd be nice to like break up his contract into a couple of smaller pieces that you could flip in, you know, ensuing deals. But I think they're just going to have to continue to keep the phone lines open, because if he continues to play this way, I don't think it's just going to be the Lakers or, you know, the Clippers. I think other teams could get interested.
Ooh, talk that, Leo.
Hostess Jr. in the comments throwing a little Wire reference out there saying a quote for the Lakers should be, the Lakers thing is one way, but it's the other way.
Right. That's the thing about the old days.
The old days.
The old days.
Shout out Slim Charles. God, what a great character.
Yes, he was.
Shout out also to the flip side, who reminded all of you out there in Bulls Nation who are watching along to hit that like button. If you haven't done it yet, do it for Flipside. Do it for yourself. Do it for Katie, even though she didn't sing the Empire jingle.
She did not.
If we get enough thumbs, maybe she will the next time.
Maybe next time.
Tune in. Maybe next time.
Katie, have you seen The Wire?
So I watched one episode.
Like the pilot?
No. I'm going to go back to it.
Okay.
Yeah, the pilot.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to it. But I don't know. I think I wasn't in the right headspace.
Okay.
You definitely
I couldn't focus on it.
You need to. It's a show where you need to focus.
That's fair.
Especially in the early going season 1. They throw 40 characters at you in the pilot, and you're like, what is happening?
But it's awesome.
But,
it's really
honestly,
awesome.
You know what I did when I first started watching it the first time through, and it was well after it had been off the air after season 5 and the series finished.
Yeah.
I would watch an episode and then go to like the wiki, like episode by episode recaps, and be like, okay, that's that character. Okay, that's that character. And I literally like did homework after watching each episode.
Wow, it's kind of like Game of Thrones, except I would just ask somebody, what the hell is this?
That's exactly what I did with Game of Thrones.
Yeah, okay, so yeah. Matt Peck, that's how he rolls. Like, and it made him enjoy the show more.
I did. And now, you know, it's a show that I've rewatched through several times after the fact, because it's one of the best television shows ever made.
Never won anything.
Drew is saying it was HBO's, you know, Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones.
Yep,
absolutely.
it's true.
Okay, so circling back to the Zach stuff and the trade stuff, the other thing that I think, you know, Bulls fans would like to throw into the pile of optimistic reasons why this might happen is the whole agency thing.
Talk to me.
Right? LeBron, AD, all of these big name stars around the league, and who, within the last couple of years, jumped on to that clutch boat. Jumped on to that agency. Zack LaVine.
Talen Horton-Tucker.
Is THT also represented by him? Well, what do you know? Look, I think
I feel like I sounded too harsh on him. I don't really.
You're not. You weren't too harsh.
Maybe I think some people among NBA fans, Bulls fans,
just want some more
overemphasize the significance of that. Like, well, hey, they share the same agent, and it's not just an agent. It's that like it's
that
the
dude.
agent.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the Woj of agents.
Right. Exactly.
So like maybe that is a factor here, but for all of the, you know, NBA stars who are friends, even though they don't play on the same teams, and then they talk about, I really want to play with this guy because I admire his skill set. I think it complements me. And then they, at some point in their careers, manage to make their way to the same team and play together. And then they decide after a couple of years that both of their egos are huge and it doesn't work out and they go their separate ways. But that point of, we want to, I have never really heard a whole lot of that coming from both sides of the street when it comes to Zack LaVine and LeBron James. It gets kind of like flirted out there every once in a while. We saw Zach show up at, I think, you know, Bronny's some game of his this summer, this offseason.
He did show up.
And pulled up and, you know, said what's up to LeBron at that function. But like, I also saw Zack LaVine, who is not very active on social media, especially like in the world of basketball. He posts about his family a lot, which is great. Yeah. You love to see that. But like, he had some complimentary tweet about Bronny on draft night. He did. Which you wonder if there are any ulterior motives.
Just saying.
To something like that for a player who's not very active on social media.
I mean, it's just stuff that you look into. Like, it's so easy to look into it and make these, you know, speculations and observations because it's right there. You know what I mean? It's right there, and it just fits. And it just fits so perfectly with it. So even though we hear these other teams, and we can get into the Clippers because we have lived. Even though we hear these other teams, and we're like, yeah, he can go there. Sure, he can fit there. Yeah, he can go there. But this team, they want him, and it all lines up, especially like you said, Sharon, the same agency.
Rich Paul wants to get Zach's NBA identity back on the right path too.
Yeah, Zach's a West Coast guy. I mean, you know what I mean? He's from Seattle. Like, he is that kind of guy out there. That's kind of where he is. So it just feels that way, Will. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to push it forward or push an agenda or anything. I'm just talking about what it looks like and how it feels. And it just feels like, yeah, that would be the team that would be looking at you. And especially if the Lakers get off to a slow start and stuff isn't looking right, or AD, is bothered by something right there, like
it's the always comes back around LeBron applied gif of Gary Oldman. Trade everyone.
Yeah. Shout out the professional.
I think the challenge here though is like we are now in the apron era. And teams who are above the aprons cannot aggregate salaries to make a trade. And what that means is if I'm the Lakers, I can't say, all right, Rui Hachimura and D'Angelo Russell for Zach.
Right.
Because now it's 2 salaries for 1.
Right.
And you can't take in more money than you're sending out. So it's just very complicated to actually make these trades. And that's been a huge criticism of these new rules from, people around the league. So that is challenging. Now the Bulls are going to have to send out cheaper contracts, which is another reason why signing somebody like Talen Horton-Tucker to a minimum makes some sense, because he's a useful player who another team might want on that cheap of a contract. And now you're getting 2 players for $45 million instead of 1 player for $43. So having those kind of contracts that you can stack together, and now you can take back Rui and D'Angelo and Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent, because that's the amount of money that it's going to take in order for you to send Zach out, and you're going to have to send out some other contracts with him. So it's just very complicated. It's not as easy anymore as just like, can you get to the money? It's like, it's got to be the right amount of players. You can't be taking in more money than you're sending out. And the Lakers are over the first apron right now. So that restricts very heavily what they're able to do in terms of trades. And that's why I think the LaVine situation has been what it is. Similar situation for the Clippers. I can look, I'm not sure if they're above the first apron right now or not, but like, it's just very difficult for these teams to make trades.
Okay.
With these two teams, we're almost out of time, but just real quick, like we know the money's going to be complicated either way, whether you're talking about Lakers or Clippers. Which do you see Zach actually being a better fit in? With like Zach could help that team that has high aspirations, that has a flawed roster right now, and then obviously with the Clippers specifically, the Kawhi news that came out today.
Yeah.
Where does Zach fit better roster wise? Not necessarily we got to figure out the contracts wise.
See, the easy answer is the Clippers, because there's plenty of space. He can do anything he wants.
Paul George just left.
Right. You know what I mean? Kawhi Leonard, that news came out about Kawhi today, not going to be playing, going to be out indefinitely. Like, there's plenty of room for him to do whatever he wants. But I think the fit is in LA. Because, again, I can say that about anybody for the Clippers right now. Like, who wants to go there and be the man? You can. It's plenty of options, plenty of space. But the fit, I feel, is the Lakers, because there is a need. There is a true need for his skill set and his talent, and somebody who can get you 30, who can get you 40 when LeBron is chilling. And LeBron enjoys chilling a little bit during the regular season. Gets up for some games, chills, likes to chill. AD does a lot, so he deserves to chill a little bit. You know what I mean? But he is a perfect fit for that kind of team, surrounded by those young guys like Dalton Knecht and those young guys like that. I really just think he fits better in LA, and I think anybody will fit with the Clippers.
Yeah, the Clippers aren't contending this year. They're not like seriously competing at a high level, especially without Kawhi. So I would love to see him on the Lakers, because one, I think he would really relish that experience, and I think he'd be in the perfect situation for him playing off of LeBron and AD. I mean, I can't imagine a better top 2 for him to be playing alongside.
Yeah.
We'll put the pause on that conversation for now. We are out of time. We'll be back tomorrow post-game following the Bulls' preseason finale against the Cavs. Second time they'll see in this preseason. This one at home, 7 p.m. Central tip. We'll see you after for post. In the meantime, read GOAT stuff, allchgo.com. Follow that man, Will_Gottlieb. Follow that guy too. Bow. BNWL Sports. I'm Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. Shout out and thanks to our pal producer, the one and only Katie Duffy, who we will get to sing very soon. Shout out to Sarah Bear also. Hit the like button on your way out. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Have a great Thursday. Bulls Nation, we love you. See you, Red. Be good.
Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.